What if the local church was the place that people wanted to come to, not just on Sundays, but on every day of the week, because the church was the heartbeat of the community? And what if, in serving the community in this way, that many people were able to experience the power of Jesus Christ? The gospel changes lives forever, and that's an understatement. Our eternal future, our glorification at Christ's second coming, our life transformation now all hinge upon the power of the gospel. And yet, I had struggled with the boldness and the faith to share the gospel message. Now, God gave me that faith and boldness, and not just me alone, but others at LifeSpring Community Church to share their faith in remarkable and amazing ways.
So in 2014, my husband and I were in a really just awful, hurtful place in our marriage. We didn't like each other. We were not relating to one another nicely. And our children were suffering and our life was suffering. And we had some neighbors who were attending LifeSpring, and one was an elder here and his wife, and he led the worship service, and they had been inviting us to come to multiple different events, and we had gone to a few, but we had not made the step to coming on Sundays. And so they had invited us to a kids carnival, and we came, and everybody was really wonderful and really nice, and I hated that because I didn't want anyone to know how bad it was at home for us. But even so, we decided to come on Sunday, and Cabot preached a message about the challenges in marriage and the highs and lows. And I think at some point Corey had to leave to go to work, and so I was left alone just sobbing in the sanctuary. And Asha came up to me and asked me if I was okay. And I told her that I wasn't in a good place and that I wanted to get my life right and that I would come back after that. And she helped me to understand that Jesus just really wants our mess. She said, just come with your mess. And so Corey and I decided to come. We said we'd come for 6 months and we would see if this would be the thing that would heal our marriage and fix our life. And so the months went on and we kept coming, and we dove into a men's Bible study for Corey and a women's Bible study for me, and we got to know people. And through that, Elizabeth Olsen had reached out to me and asked if I wanted to have lunch and learn more about Jesus. And so I had agreed, even though I wasn't really very sure about it, but I did go. And she explained the gospel to me at a booth at the restaurant Antonio's in Spring Grove, which isn't there anymore. And at the end of it all, she asked me if I wanted to accept Jesus, and I said, okay. And she wasn't sure if I was sure, and I wasn't sure if I was sure. But we both prayed, and we went. And then a couple days later, Cabot took Corey to the same restaurant in the same booth and had a similar conversation, and he also agreed, but we didn't tell each other. And so in all of that time, we had been waiting for Corey to get a new job. He, at the time, was working 4 part-time jobs, and we wanted something with health insurance and stability. And so he had been interviewing for this job. And then the night after he accepted Jesus, the next morning, he woke up to a voicemail saying, "You got the job." And so that was like the thing that broke the dam. He came and he told me about the voicemail, and he told me about having lunch with Cabot, and I told him about my lunch. And I think back at that really being the point where we reconnected. And so, yeah, almost 6 months to the day from coming to LifeSpring, Corey and I were both baptized. And then shortly after that, we decided to trust God in growing our family. And so then Ashlyn was born. And then shortly after that, Levi joined us, rounding out our crew of 4. Yeah, and then through all that, my cousin was watching us and noticing some differences in us, and she was curious, and she asked us about that. And we shared what was going on in our life. And so she started coming to LifeSpring and was saved here, and her life was changed, and her son. and then also my dad and my uncle. And so we've just been watching it continue to ripple outward. And yeah, it's just totally changed our lives for the better.
Before LifeSpring Community Church is a new chapter in the Gospel Gather Go book. The heading of this new chapter is Heart of the Community. LifeSpring's expanding community needs to grow in the gospel, the message of the gospel. We need to grow in community, and we need to grow in the mission of the church. This is not only a heart for our church community, but also a heart for our surrounding community. Something that will help our church to grow and its ability to impact the community for the gospel is lowering our debt upon our existing building and also sequestering funds in order to help with staffing needs. Doing these two things will help us to fulfill the call that God has placed upon our lives and to more effectively share the message of Jesus Christ.